What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we are continuing preview and predictions for teams across the nation in 2021. And today, we are talking about the Nevada Wolfpack, a team in the Mountain West that, hey, in my opinion, is the Mountain West favorite. Sure, you'll always have Boise State in there, but have you seen this Nevada roster? It's pretty darn good. We'll look at some players here in a little bit. But before we get into that, hey, guys, we just passed 300 subscribers, or I believe last time I checked, we are exactly at 300. So the channel, that means, has almost pretty much doubled in size over the past 2 months, which is insane to me. So continue to get that number rising. Remember to leave a like, share the video as well. You can also leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the Wolfpack in 2021. Just, of course, be mindful what you say. Be nice people. So without further ado, talking about Nevada in 2021, this was a team last year that, well, when the Mountain West saw the Big Ten wasn't going to play, they said, okay, we're not going to play either. And then when the Big Ten said, no, wait, hold on, we want to play, we're going to do 8 games, the Mountain West said, hey, I like that. Let's do that as well. So an 8-game all-conference slate for the Mountain West last year, and Nevada was lucky enough to play all 8 of those games and be good enough to make it into the postseason. Played in the same bowl game for the 2nd straight year. We'll look at the result from that in a little bit, as well as the record and standing from last year. But talking about players that are leaving this Nevada program, when you look at the returning production numbers, it'll tell you that Nevada's losing a lot of production. Statistically, yes. In my mind, talent-wise, well, on the offensive side, yes. On the defensive side, you kind of got to search for some names here, right? So these were some names that stuck out to me. So lots of pass catchers leaving. Isaac Jernigan was a pretty good playmaker. He got arrested on, I believe, some DUI, drug charges, stuff like that. It was like 6 charges. It was pretty insane. And Jernigan was dismissed from the team. So, of course, no longer a member of the Wolfpack football team. Charles Ross, I believe, transferred out. He was a pretty solid wide receiver. Never was used in a huge role, like a top 2 wide receiver role, but was a pretty good wide receiver in himself. And then Ben Putman, after a pretty solid season, 2019, decided not to play in 2020. And Putman now in awaiting free agency in the NFL. I don't believe he's been picked up by anyone yet, but definitely could be. He's a solid option at their wide receiver. Henry Ikahifo, sorry if I pronounced his last name wrong, tight end, backup, gone as well. Nate Brown, along with some other guys, leaving the offensive line as well. On the defensive side, you got defensive lineman Chris Green and Kieran Clark. So a lot of players, not necessarily, there are some players that provided some big stats here, some big moments for Nevada, some great plays. But overall, in my opinion, there's not a lot leaving Nevada. Like, yes, there's some, and you can't deny that, but it's not a lot that's leaving Nevada. And I think it's a Nevada team that can only get better because, hey, it's not about what you lost, it's about what you have. Nevada has NFL-ready players right now. And one of them is a great quarterback. His name is Carson Strong. Never heard of Carson Strong? Man, have you been living under a rock? Carson Strong is a very good quarterback. A very good quarterback. So Carson Strong is one of those guys that a lot of people say, oh, he can go in the 1st round. Right now, I see maybe early 2nd because I just don't see the need for there to be a quarterback late in the 1st round. However, there could be. But he can definitely, if he plays really well this year, could get up to be in the top, maybe a top 4 quarterback off the board in the 2021 draft. Running backs, Toa Tawa, Devontae Lee. They both play a little bit different style of back as they are just, some different body types. Hey, that's how it goes. Tawa more of a power runner. Devontae Lee more of a shifty runner. But both of them can play each other's style fairly decently, and both of them are very good runners, respectively. Of course, Tawa has led this team in rushing yards over the past couple of years. Wide receiver core is loaded for Carson Strong. Romeo Dubs, Elijah Cooks. Of course, Dubs led the team in receptions last year, was really his coming out party. Elijah Cooks had his coming out party in 2019 after leading the team in receptions, touchdowns, yards, all that good stuff, but had surgery last year. So didn't play in the spring game, but should be good to go for the start of the season. He could easily work his way back in the NFL conversation. Dubs is already there. Cooks could absolutely come back. Cole Turner already in NFL conversation. He's a very good tight end. On the defensive side, you got Sam Hammond, very disruptive defensive lineman. Dom Peterson, a sack machine, has led this team in sacks over the past couple of years. Lawson Hall and Tyson Williams, who in 2019-2020, respectively, led this Wolfpack team in tackles and pretty good players in their positions as well. So a lot of talent coming back for Nevada. I do really like this team. I really like this Nevada team. I think they can do some incredible things this year. Looking at their schedule in 2021, hey, their 2020 record was 7-2, 6-2 in the Mountain West. That put them third in the Mountain West behind Boise State and San Jose State, teams that both are on their schedule this year. And they play in the Idaho Potato Bowl for the second straight year after losing to Ohio in 2019. Last year, they ended up beating Tulane. Hey, you guys know how this works. I'm talking about some games more than others because they're more interesting matchups to me. So if the day gets highlighted in green, it's a win. If it gets highlighted in red, it is a loss. Without further ado, Nevada time. Time to talk about the Wolfpack in 2021. So California is that first game on the schedule, and it is a road game against a Power 5 opponent. And normally when people see this, Group of 5 versus Power 5, especially when the Power 5 is at home, they tend to favor the Power 5 team. So give the edge to California, right? No. In fact, I give the edge to Nevada in this game. Now, is that a predicted win? Well, you'll see here in a little bit. But Nevada's the more talented team in my mind. So Cal last year, kind of a disappointing year, right? They win that game against Oregon in their final game of the season. Didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. That was their only win in the 4 games that they ended up playing last year. And I think people expected a lot better out of Cal. And so for Cal to come in and do that was kind of disappointing, right? So for California this year, the expectation is that you get better. But you know what you're going to get with Cal. It's going to be a hard-fought game. Cal's going to give it their all. They're going to give it everything they've got. And I've talked about it a lot. Home field advantage is going to play a huge role this season more than any other season we've seen before. And I think it's going to play a huge role in this game as well. So first game of the season, I do have California edging out Nevada. And I mean like barely winning. Maybe a game-winning field goal to where they win by 1. Maybe this game goes into overtime and they win on a 2-point conversion. But I do see Cal barely edging out. I think this team does just enough to beat the Wolfpack. Home game against Idaho State. So the Bengals up next. And this should be a nice reload game here for Nevada. See what worked, see what didn't in the Cal game. Try some new things here. They should have no excuse to lose this game. In fact, I think they can win this game by 30-plus points. So Nevada gets their first win of the season. Before a road game against another Power 5 team, albeit this one in my mind not as good as Cal. It is the Kansas State Wildcats. Skylar Thompson coming back. When he plays at his best, he's a pretty solid quarterback. And then Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn is the name you got to get to know on Kansas State. You don't know who Deuce Vaughn is? Go watch my top 10 running back video. Deuce Vaughn is a fantastic runner, elite. I mean, just he is amazing. He is amazing to watch. I really do like what Deuce Vaughn brings to the table. But overall, this Kansas State team is not great, especially when you look at the defensive side. Trying to slow down an offense that Nevada can potentially have this year is hard. And when you look at the defense that was pretty subpar last year, and they're not even returning that much, I have to give the win here to Nevada. I do think Nevada is going to split those 2 Power 5 road games. I think they're going to win one, lose one. Could they win both? Yes, absolutely. They absolutely could win both. I think they're more talented than Cal and than Kansas State. But again, it's the home field advantage. It's the bigger stadiums. It's the crowd noise, especially this year. And I see them splitting, and I see Cal as that more likely loss. So I give them the win against Kansas State before they get into their bye week, before what could be their toughest game of the year against the Boise State Broncos. So Boise State, this is going to be a quarterback wide receiver duo showdown. You got Bachmeier and Khalil Shakur there for Boise State. Shakur, one of the best wide receivers in the Mountain West and in the entire nation, as is Romeo Dubs, and has a great quarterback in Carson Strong. So me, Carson Strong, a better quarterback than Hank Bachmeier, but sure. But Brian Harsin gone as the head coach for Boise State, right? Boise State's a team this year that, well, they're going to be interesting to watch, right? They play Oklahoma State in the non-conference. That's going to be interesting to watch. And then they get to play here at home on the blue turf against Nevada. So the blue turf, I think, is going to give them a huge advantage. And what ultimately I think helps Boise State win this game. But this is going to be a very close matchup. I think Nevada, in the games that they lose this year, if there are any games they lose this year, I think they have the potential to win every game on the schedule. So whatever games they lose this year, I think are going to be competitive and are going to be close losses. I don't see Nevada getting blown out by anybody on the schedule. So I see Boise State barely squeaking this one out again. Maybe again, it's another game-winning field goal. The game goes into overtime, a winning 2-point conversion, block, what have you. I see Boise State doing just enough to win this game. I think Shakur shines in this game for the Broncos. I think the defense does just enough to where the Broncos get a big win against the Wolfpack. Home game against New Mexico State. The Wolfpack should end up winning that one. Pretty easy game there in my mind. And they're up to 3-2. Now playing Hawaii. So in past years, I don't know what it is, but Nevada's just kind of struggled with Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is a team that is going to be 6-6, 7-5, 8-4, maybe 9-3 every year. Their expectation, make a bowl game every year. That's what Hawaii's done a lot of the times in the past. So for Hawaii, though, losing as much production as they've lost over the past couple of years, I don't know how good it's going to be in Hawaii this year. Sure, they can still be a 6-6, 7-5 team, and I think Hawaii can make a bowl game this year. But how competitive can they be with the likes of Boise State, Nevada, San Jose State? I don't think they're going to be that competitive with the better teams in the Mountain West. So I do have Nevada winning this game. Road game against Fresno State is up next. Talked about Fresno State a little bit on the channel as they've played some Pac-12 teams, including UCLA and Oregon. But for Fresno State, yeah, Fresno State's a team that could be decent. Fresno State, I feel like, is a team that you can go in either direction. I feel like if Fresno State plays really well, they can be pretty solid. But if they don't, then they could be really bad. Kind of the middle of the road team in the Mountain West. I don't see them doing anything special. Maybe they can keep it close for a little bit. These games in Group of 5 conferences tend to be a little harder to predict, especially with a team like Nevada, team like Fresno State. So maybe the Bulldogs keep it closer than expected, but I do think the Wolfpack still end up winning that game. All right, Friday game now at home against the UNLV Rebels. So Tate Martel coming in at quarterback. What a sad story Tate Martel has been, right? I liked him when he came over to Ohio State. I thought he could be a solid quarterback, just never really panned out. Said, hey, I want to play, transferred over to Miami. Yeah, didn't really pan out there either. Hasn't looked the greatest, and it's one of the biggest downfalls in all of college football. So does he fix UNLV's problems? Well, no. I mean, UNLV, sure, they've been competitive. You know, when you look 2019, it was a sign of improvement. And then right back to last year, they fell back down to earth. I don't think Tate Martel fixes many of those problems. Nevada wins this game before a very crucial game on November 6th against San Jose State. This is going to be a fun game to watch. You got Nick Starkel on one side, and you got Carson Strong on the other side, and two absolutely brilliant coaches on both sidelines as well. This is going to be a phenomenal game to watch. I'm telling you guys right now, if you can watch this game, tune in to it, because this is going to be a fun one. I know there's some other bigger games going on this week, but this one, man, this could be fun. So, of course, I just mentioned Strong versus Starkel. That's going to be the most underrated quarterback matchup of the year, in my opinion. This could be a very close game. You remember how good San Jose State was last year? I don't think they take many steps back. I don't see them going undefeated again. However, I do think that San Jose State can still be competitive this year and still end up with a really good record. This could be a huge pivotal game in terms of Mountain West championship hopes. But when you look on the offensive side for both teams, sure, San Jose State has got some pretty darn good playmakers. Nevada has the better playmakers. Dubs, Cooks, Tawa, Turner. All these guys can really play. And I think is what ultimately leads to my decision to let Nevada win this game. I think it's close. I think it's competitive, but Nevada does just enough to win the game. I think it's going to be an offensive showdown. Road game against San Jose State up next. This game is not a pushover by any means. Make no mistake about it. San Diego State, not San Jose State, just talked about San Jose State. San Diego State's no pushover, and I think they can keep this one pretty competitively close. But I do think Nevada ends up getting the win on the road here in this one. Closer than expected, but still a win. Home game, another Friday game against Air Force. So when you look at the Armed Forces teams, in my opinion, it goes Army, Air Force, then Navy. Air Force, a middle-of-the-road team in the Mountain West with how much they've lost over the past couple of years. Can they get back there? Well, teams struggle on the road in weekday games because you got a short week of practice. Then you have that travel day as well. And I think this one is a win for Nevada. Nevada's just too good on both sides of the ball. And then for Colorado State as well, same story. They've lost a lot in the past couple of years. Now, Trey McBride's still a very good quarterback, but of course, Patty O'Brien transferring out was a quarterback there at Colorado State. Pretty solid. So Colorado State, the team this year, not really high on. Yes, it's on the road, but I do think Nevada wins this game. So with that, you see 2 games highlighted in red, which means I have Nevada going 10-2. Now, that record range for me is 11-1 to 6-6. 6-6, worst case scenario. If this offense just doesn't pan out, defense doesn't pan out, hey, Cal, Kansas State, Boise State, maybe Hawaii gets them, San Jose State, San Diego State. There are lots of games on the schedule that Nevada could trip up on, but I do see that best prediction being 11-1. I really do think Nevada can be that good this year. They can beat Boise State. Yes. They can beat Cal. Yes. I just think they trip up somewhere along the road. Could this team go undefeated? Possibly. I don't want to say yes, absolutely 100% certainty, because it's a possibly. I mean, they have to go on the road and play 2 Power 5 opponents. That's not going to be easy within the first 3 weeks of the season. Then you got to go on the road to play Boise State. You have San Jose State on the schedule as well. Like, there are some hard games on the schedule for Nevada this year. 10-2, I see as the most likely outcome. I could also see 9-3 as the second most likely outcome if, of course, they can't beat any of the Power 5 opponents. But Nevada could be well on their way to a Mountain West championship. That's going to do it for the Nevada Wolfpack in 2021. Hey, again, if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, share the video. You can also leave a comment down below telling me your thoughts on the video and on the Wolfpack this year. Tomorrow, we're looking at another team from the SEC. It's the Auburn Tigers. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys tomorrow. Auburn, goodbye.